Hi, my name is Will, and welcome to the Distorted Transmission for this week. Investigator is the brainchild of singer-songwriter and producer Adrian Drew. It's all about the melodies and soaring choruses with catchy riffs and driving guitar. These are bright, shiny songs with dark undertones, a juxtaposition reflecting life. The love, loss, and societal stabs feature heavy, but within the dark, brooding space there is always a hint of optimism. Tonight we chat to an Auckland band called Investigator. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Intros, I guess.
I'm Adrian, and I am the kind of singer-songwriter. But to make it all happen, I've got to have a band as well behind me, and I've got a cool drummer, actually, Craig Van Can, who used to be in some awesome bands, Arch Hill bands, like Gaunt Pudding and The Couch. Real Flying Nun kind of stuff. He's awesome. And I've got Dave Crowan as well, is in the band on bass. He's an undercut before he joined our band when that became defunct. And when I was actually a solo guy, I opened for his band when Investigator was just by myself. And I enlisted another friend, Adam Morton Mason, and he plays guitar. And he's an English fellow who used to be in a band called These Fine Galleons over in England. So that's the band, and it has a producer that kind of plays a whole lot of extra instruments as well, and that's Kane Bennett. I don't know if you know Kane from Sonic Alter, the
Okay.
heavy metal band. He does production, but also plays a whole bunch of instruments and lends his backing vocals for some of those really high ones.
You stopped into Music Works the other day for some guitar odds and ends, and we began sort of chatting. This ended up with you handing me your band CD, which I've just got over there, and I suggested this interview. I hadn't really heard of Investigator before, as I'm not really like a sort of a rock listener, a rock radio kind of a guy. Yeah, so could you give sort of a background of the band, like the rough history of it?
Yeah, it's been a progression because I left a career to pursue this. So I started off playing kind of wineries, bars, and stuff, but with heaps of originals that I'd written for years. I just didn't have a band. I didn't have any way to do it, and I was doing my work. So I did that for a couple of years, and then got together with Kane to actually do an EP, and brought my mate Craig in to drum. So it was kind of two of us ish with Kane helping out, and that was in about 2018. We put together a self-titled EP, and it would be kind of pop rock. It was kind of looking at 80s. I was still probably getting used to playing with other people, so I'd written, yeah, kind of slower tempo kind of stuff, a lot of ballads, a lot of like kind of Cars influenced, and Tom Petty and stuff like that. And we got asked to play music in parks in early 2020, so I had to kind of get a band together and got these guys together. And I just started writing more songs with a band in mind as well, and starting to get a little bit faster, a little bit heavier, bringing in a few more of my heavier and darker influences, I guess. And put out Bad Luck Shoebox as the first single off this album quite a while ago. And so I played music in parks and did that. And then I started writing more and more, thinking about a band and thinking about noise, really. Got noisier.
So you had a small string of singles over the last few years. I mean, you mentioned that I don't know some of the singles made on the album. Yeah, so those sort of singles ended up being grouped together with a bunch of new songs for the 10-track album Shade. Shade dropped in November of last year, and it seems to be getting some good responses here and abroad. You've probably been getting feedback about the album's progress. I know that one of the guys in my band, he's always online, always trying to find out, where the album's being played, and he likes to keep abreast of that stuff. I don't really care myself, but he's all about that. So I imagine that possibly you sort of keep an eye out every now and then, or get feedback from people. So maybe you've got a better idea of how the album's doing in general.
To be honest, I don't know if people consume albums like we did.
Sure.
I don't think the market likes albums that much. There's certain songs in there that have been really, really well received. The title track "Shade" did quite well. The Rock picked it up and thrashed it for 6 weeks every day, and that was cool. Um, and then you just don't know. You service a song, you think it's great, the next song, and that's just not their flavour. But it's just been a bit of a learning curve. I think I do things a bit differently, and that and that's probably a trick for everyone out there, is that, you might want to do something in a certain way that you're used to doing it, but we also have to, move with the times.
So you mean next time you release something, you might sort of focus more on singles as opposed to albums?
I see a lot of people now releasing single, 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 single. Hey, our EP's out.
You did kind of do that. Like you released about what, 4 singles, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
then you bunched them together into the album. So that's kind of the same MO that you're doing, except that they're probably releasing every song. So you'd have to release 10 songs and then release the album.
yeah. You learn a lot. Like you can't get on Spotify playlist basically if you've released an album and then release a single after the album's already out. So there's all these little things that I'm learning. But yeah, I think I do it separately.
You're kind of the main songwriter, I feel, judging by everything I've read, and of course, judging by this conversation we've just had. But do you sort of incorporate the other bandmates into the songwriting process? You probably don't, I guess, because you wrote stuff before the band really formed to become a live band. But so maybe I'll sort of change this question into: will you incorporate the other bandmates into the songwriting process in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question because, as you said, I got shed loads of material that I've been writing for ages, and then finally got a band. So there's songs that you want to get out, that you want to go, hey, and you can be a bit protective about that. But that's not to say that I actually write every single piece. Dave writes quite a lot of the bass lines. He's only now and then that'll go, I really like this bit, and I really like that. Kane writes all of the the solos, the shredding solos, like in Lake of Eyes. And Shade and stuff. He writes those big solos, so that's him. I leave him to it because he's good at it. And I'm a melody man, so I bring most of the composition of the song, but we do take it like we've just been working over the weekend on a brand new single that I basically wrote my parts and said, you guys, go for it. Here's a piece that I like for the bass, but chorus open, go for it. I've left the drums blank, so Craig's got an idea of that, and he's coming up on Saturday here to my little studio and gonna have a go at recording those drums for that. So it's definitely more open for the guys to come in and write stuff.
It's early days, but have you been writing since that release? You did mention that you had a sort of a single coming out, so I guess the answer is yes. Have you written anything beyond that?
Actually, I've got this new single called Drift that we're working on, and we might go, and spend a little bit of money on this one. It's not a song for an album. I've written probably about 15, 16 songs with an idea for a concept album. And so I don't really want to give away too much about that at the moment yet, but I've got heaps of material that sits very nicely on an album and about 2 or 3 songs. And this one, Drift, is like brand new. Just I wrote it in about 2 days. It's one of those songs that you just go, oh, wow, this is catchy. I think this is cool, and just got a really cool feel to it. And played it to the guys, and they were straight away we picked it up, and in the first or second run through at practice. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we're sort of running out of time. I was going to ask you, are there any shows coming up? I don't think you have any shows, but you were thinking about, or you're working on something?
Yeah, we're trying to put together like a little mini tour of the North Island with Channeled. I've been chatting with Ben from that, and hopefully maybe something in Auckland in April if we can swing it. As you know, being in bands, it's hard getting all 4 people, and you've got to think about the families as well and try and make everything work. And then the other bands as well. So we're aiming for April. Hopefully, we've all got the itch. We love playing live, and I think that's one of our strengths. Is we're pretty cool live.
So, lastly, is there anything else you'd like to add to the interview before we wrap it up?
Just got the single Downtown. It's our darkest, murkiest thing. It's out March 10th with a music video. And also go to our Bandcamp. Everything's Investigator Music Bandcamp there, because we've got some limited edition CDs with fold out booklets and stuff like that, and they're pretty mint and they're pretty cheap. So all shipped here in New Zealand, no plastic.
All right, man. Thanks very much for the chat tonight, and best of luck with everything going forwards. Cheers.
Thanks, man. It was awesome being on here, and thanks for having me. And cheers, fans.
All right, catch you later, and thanks for watching.